The vibes. Welcome to a new year here at the Hoop Genius Podcast, brought to you by NBA 2K23. BJ Armstrong and Morency back with you for another calendar year of talking basketball. BJ, happy New Year, happy holidays. How was your little week off?
Oh, you know what, Bo? I wish I had a week off. There was a lot going on in the Armstrong household. Happy New Year, happy holidays to everyone. It's January 1st, and we starting off the new year right, talking about basketball with my man. More money, more money, more money.
Hey, come
on. Let's get after it. It's the new year. It's that time of the year. We got to take it up a notch.
I mean, we put out 225 episodes in 2022. Let's give him 250 this year.
I got to give him 325, 326 on a leap year.
365.
Hey, Mo.
You mean 365?
365. Sorry, what did I say? I said 325.
You're taking a 40-day holiday.
My bad.
We trying.
Yeah.
We trying. Listen, I want to appreciate and say thank you to everyone who sent these beautiful messages as the year drew to a close. You know, how much you guys at home support the podcast, how much you support the show. We're going to keep doing what we do. I know a lot of you guys are asking when you're going to see us back on your TV screens and all that good stuff. And we'll have more news coming for you as the year progresses. But in the meantime, just stay locked in right here with us. Stay locked in. This year, BJ and I are going to be back doing some watch-alongs. So it's even better. Rather than just halftime, you're going to get us for the full 48. Stay tuned for more announcements on that. But the NBA's getting all types of crazy. BJ, what has caught your eye? The last time we recorded was the day before Christmas. So we had the Christmas Day games. We've had Luka Doncic put up 5 of the most historic stat lines that we've seen in recent memory. We've got the Brooklyn Nets on an unstoppable tear. Your prediction about the Knicks, of course, came true. They have been losing games like nobody's business.
I remember saying that. I did remember saying that with the Knicks. I tend to say it and I move on. But I did remember that about the Knicks. You know, what has caught my eye? Well, the Brooklyn Nets.
11 in a row. Second.
How about that?
In the Eastern Conference, just 2 games behind the greatest franchise to ever exist, the Boston Celtics.
How about that? What has really caught my eye? Individually, you know, this Luka Doncic has been on a tear. I mean, he's made a run now that you have to recognize what he's done and what he's doing currently. I mean, individually, he is putting up massive numbers individually.
Mm-hmm.
The team that's really caught my eye has been the New Orleans Pelicans.
Okay. Talk to me about New Orleans, BJ.
Yeah, well, this kid, Zion, you know, he's just, I mean, we've always known what he could be. We've always said what he ought to be. Well, he's doing it now. And he's doing it on a consistent basis. Every time he steps out, it seems like he is just causing, you know, pure havoc out there on the floor. The way he plays, what he's doing. And he's just playing at a very, very high level. And by the way, this is without his partner, Brandon Ingram. And I'm beginning to really think, how good could this team really be once they get all healthy? You know, they have a legitimate chance, Mo, to come out of that Western Conference. And the reason being is because I'm convinced now, after watching Zion, you can't stop him. Okay, he is just, you know, he is a load. I mean, he is very tough to handle. And Mo, I don't even think you can wall the guy off. I just think you just have to say he's going to score 35, and I'm just going to try to stop everyone else. He plays through contact. He jumps over you. He jumps around you. I mean, you can't put a big on him. You can't put a small guy on him. Well, he's just
Well,
he's just he's a matchup nightmare for everyone in the league.
you say
For
you're
everyone.
just going to have to stop everyone else. Everyone else is Brandon Ingram, who you just mentioned, who is an all-star level wing player when he comes back, can score on pretty much anyone that he is being guarded by. You know, he's got the shot. He can drive to the paint. He's tall. He can shoot over anyone. And then you've got CJ McCollum, who put up 11 threes on the way to a season high 42 the other night. And then, you know, you've got the rest of the guys, Trey Murphy, who's pretty much automatic from downtown. You've got Jonas Valanciunas on the inside who can put in serious work. So saying that, we'll just leave it to the other guys to be us.
Well, you got to talk about Alvarado, though. We can't have this without Alvarado.
We've got Alvarado on the defensive end as well, Alvarado, and then Herb Jones as well. We ain't even talked about him, who missed some time. His shooting's gone down a bit since last season. But saying we're just going to stop Zion, it's like, okay, if you're playing the Bucks and your strategy is to let the artist get his and slow down everyone else, okay, cool. Maybe Middleton will heat up, but the rest of the guys, okay, if Grayson Allen beats us, cool, fine, whatever. But the Pelicans have some serious depth. In my opinion, they have the best depth in the league. Because even when you look at the bench, they got Larry Nance Jr. coming off the bench. And what he don't even show up on the stat sheet, but he's a fantastic player. So for me, at the start of the year, when I had to pick 3 teams to come out of the Western Conference, I said, if the Clippers get healthy, I got the Clippers. If the Warriors, they're the reigning champions, I got to give them their respects. But my third team in the West is the New Orleans Pelicans, because 1 through 5, they've got very good players at every single position. And everything I'm seeing from them has been fantastic. They played the Grizzlies last night, New Year's Eve. Had a little bit of a tough time. They lost that one. But, you know, it's still the regular season. And I think in a playoff series, they've got enough weapons to account for matchups, to account for different strategies that are being thrown at them. You know, because it's not all just being relied upon Zion to carry everything, even though he's shown he now has the ability to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, this New Orleans team, they're interesting. You know, it looks good on paper. Right now, you know, I know it's early. What do we got? About 40-something games to go. When I say it's early, as far as talking about a championship run. However, Mo, I think they're a problem. I really think this team is a problem. And it's going to be interesting to see, especially in the Western Conference, because you have Denver. You have
I was just about to
Clippers,
ask you about
as you
Denver.
said.
We'll get on to the
you have the Clippers. You have to give Golden State looks like they are playing, you know, they're playing better, more consistent basketball on the defensive end. Even though they don't have Steph Curry playing, they're still finding a way. So there are a lot of, you don't want to, Phoenix is still very capable. You know, I know Devin Booker's out right now.
They've said he's out for 4 more weeks, and the Suns have slipped down to 7th already. The Western Conference being as tight as it is, you don't want that.
Right.
Of course, you've got the Mavericks, and in any playoff series, regardless of what you think about the Mavericks roster, Luka Doncic has the ability to win a series almost single-handedly.
Luka will be, if not, most series, the best player on the floor. So anytime you have a player like that, when the game slows down,
if it comes down to a second or less on the clock, and you need someone to miss a free throw on purpose and rebound it themselves, Luka has shown that nobody can do it quite like him. It's like he spent the whole summer learning how to catch his own free throw rebounds if he needs to. So,
well, like I say, he's playing lights out right now. So
I want to talk to you about Denver.
Okay.
Before we get onto Luka, because this will tie into it. Denver Nuggets right now are sitting in the first place in the Western Conference, and the Joker has been on a heater. He's been on a hot streak, right? It looks to me, this is the most base level analysis ever, that he started the season by showing, okay, you guys, I've been carrying you for the last 2 years. Show me what you guys can do. And then it was after the game where he turned up dressed like a suit, and a lot of people weren't happy with his comments, saying that he's shown up ready for business. A lot of guys come in casual. And I don't think that was a comment about dressing well. I think that was more of a metaphor for his teammates and him being tired of having to carry a load. And he's just ever since then said, all right, cool. Just give me the rock and cut to the basket and I'll find you. Just get open and I'll find you. Because he's been putting up crazy stat lines. And he has reinserted himself by force back into the MVP conversation. Despite everyone saying he's won 2 in a row, he can't win a third, because then he's the first player since Larry Bird, unless I'm mistaken, to win 3 straight. But he's forced his way into that conversation Luka's forced his way into that conversation because the only knock on Luka, the only thing I had against him was that they were like 8th or 9th in the West, and now the Mavericks are suddenly 4th, winning 6 games in a row. So slightly off topic here, but this MVP race, we've got Doncic, we've got Jokic, Giannis is ever present. KD and the Nets, we'll talk about in a second, on an 11-game winning streak. Jason Tatum leading the Celtics, they're the first seed in the East. Zion Williamson, who we just spoke about. Steph Curry was in there, but now he's out injured, so maybe not. But let's just say we've got those 6 guys. And am I forgetting anyone? Am I forgetting?
Well, we got those four guys, I think, for sure, right? I think Giannis, Jokic, Luka,
the thing with Giannis
and Jason Tatum
is Giannis's number statistically, he's having his worst season in years, and the Bucks have been on a little bit of a downward spiral after a hot start to the season. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They've slipped down to 3rd in the East, and things have really cooled off after their hot start. So I don't know if Giannis is still in that conversation right now, especially with what KD's doing and the efficiency with which he's doing it with, and Jokic and Luka and Tatum. So if we're talking about 4 guys, I got those 4. I got Giannis 5th on the list for me, and then Zion is right there.
Who's on your list?
Tatum, KD, Doncic, Jokic, Zion, and Giannis.
Okay.
And then, of course, we can't forget about Embiid. The Sixers are 8-2 in their last 10 games. They're playing well. They're reintegrating Harden. Maxi's making his return. Embiid has got to be in that conversation as well. So we've really got 7 guys now that are in the MVP race. Do you remember the last few seasons where it's basically been Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis? And it's just 3-horse race. Now we've got 7 guys. All we need is 3 more players to step up. And then at the end of the season, we have a pickup game of all 10 MVP candidates. That's my dream. Keep the All-Star game. I want to see that.
Well, I think this is fascinating. It's kind of indicative of the entire season thus far. From week to week, you have possibly a new guy stepping up to the another one. I think Jokic, prior to Luka having the week that he had, I think he was 1. Mm-hmm. I think Luka now suddenly is back in this race. Giannis has probably been the guy that's been 2 or 3 all year. Okay, and certainly, KD, KD's one of those guys where, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be somewhere in that top 5. Now, I think he's clearly in the top 4.
Yeah.
Zion has I think right now he has an outside chance because of how well they're playing. Those are the 5 guys to me that have kind of separated themselves from everyone else. And give or take, and
it's a shame.
Pelicans are playing.
It's a real shame Anthony Davis got injured again, because he went on a little streak there where he was making a little bit of noise. But unfortunately, to the heartbreak of many, the Lakers are still 13th in the Western Conference. And LeBron made some comments.
Yeah, I think
we need to talk about.
Yeah, I just think those. What did I say? 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah, 6.
I think they are. Yeah. If you want to put 6 in there. But did I miss Tatum? Tatum has to be in there.
You missed Tatum. He has to be in there.
I missed Tatum. Tatum, without question, please excuse me on that. Tatum has to be in there. So I think those guys, let me make sure I got the list. You got Luka. We got Jokic. Yeah, we got Jokic. Giannis. KD.
Jason
Tatum.
Zion Williamson.
And Zion Williamson. Yeah, I think those are the 6 guys. I think those guys have to be there. And
Embiid, I think it's 7. I think Embiid's got to be in this conversation too.
The way he started off at the beginning of the season, but maybe, he's putting up those numbers. But I still think that those are my 6. And I can't take away. Joel has big numbers. He has big numbers.
So it's 2023. January 1st, when we record this, we're looking at another year of NBA action. BJ, what are you most excited to see as this year gets underway? What are the key storylines or the key players?
Well,
the first thing I'm going to have to give you an answer first is Wembanyama being drafted in June. That's just the number 1 default for everyone. And then making his debut this year. That's the number one on, I think, everyone's list. Did you see him at the All-Star game, the French All-Star game?
I did. I must admit, I did tune in. I did tune in.
Did you ever think you'd ever in your life be tuning in into the French All-Star game during Christmas? Because I'm not going to lie.
Well, here's the
never.
thing. Here's the thing that I was. I mean, at least us here in America, we're talking about. We saw a 7 foot, 4 guy, 5, whatever how tall he is, shooting in the 3-point contest. And to me, that was the most fascinating thing. He was participating in the 3-point contest. And that to me said it all. I mean, he's just very unique. What he brings, how he plays. He really is the way he plays it's just a beautiful brand of basketball. I'm just intrigued to see how good he really can be. So, did I ever think I was going to be tuning in? No, I didn't think it. But again, I will say this: you never know where the next great player is going to come from. And right now, he's going to come from France. Okay, and make no doubt about it. So I'm intrigued. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him play, seeing what he could be in the next, 15 to 20 years, barring injury. I think he has an amazing opportunity to be right up there with some of the greats to ever play. I think he can really make an imprint on the game moving forward here in what I've seen so far.
We've got Wemby. We've got one of the closest MVP races as it stands at Christmas, with the most horses in the race for a long time. The MVP race is exciting for 2023. What else are you looking forward to seeing this year?
I'm really looking forward. I can't help but the competitive side, that you have and you play. I'm really looking forward to see what some of these teams do, some of these executives do by the trade deadline. And normally, Mo, I don't get into that's kind of your thing. It's not my thing. But I really think this year the moves are going to be critical. Why? Because I think some of the teams need. It's like no team. You look at all of the teams, right? You look at Denver. You look at New Orleans. You look at Boston. You look at
no
all
one
of the
separated
teams that
themselves.
are right there.
No one separated themselves from
so
the pack.
They're all right there. But I think every team is going to need all these teams that we're talking about. They're going to need a little
Jay Crowder,
something that's going to
maybe a little Jay Crowder,
like something that they're going to need that's going to
maybe just
push
a
them.
little someone sign Carmelo Anthony. Maybe just something small, just like that,
Yeah, something that someone's going to need, because all of these teams are right there. Milwaukee, they start off great. Now they had a little slippage, and you're going, are they really the best team in the East? And then you're looking at Boston, and they're good. Don't get me wrong, that may be, but I don't know. You're just looking at them. If they had Gallinari, I really think that would. To me, that would have just set them apart, but he's not there. So
I want them to get Melo, man. I want them just to
and then
there's just sometimes they just go on. Just let Tatum and Brown rest for a bit. Get Melo and give him 6-7 points.
I don't know what it is, but I think whatever these teams decide to do, I think that's going to be the deciding factor. I mean, Golden State, I think, could even do something.
And
I think,
and on the other hand, not looking at the teams that are all up there contending, we got some seasons that have gone a little worse than expected, aka the Toronto Raptors, aka Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, aka the Chicago Bulls, Zach LaVine, Vucevic, DeRozan, the Atlanta Hawks, John Collins, Trae Young's name was even in trade rumors, the New York Knicks, the Miami Heat, and that's just in the Eastern Conference, right? The Minnesota Timberwolves, abysmal, losing 6 games in a row now, and that Rudy Gobert trade looks worse and worse by the day. The Lakers have got LeBron making these comments in the media about him not wanting to play this kind of losing basketball. They got to make a move. All these teams that are in the lower end of the standings, they're going to have to make a decision now. on what they're going to do with their star players who are clearly, unlike Bradley Beal, who's just minding his business, getting paid over there in Washington. But even the Wizards have won a couple games, but they're going to have to make a move. So now we could see, we always talk about the domino effect, like the first domino fall. There could be some big moves before the trade deadline. Bigger than just a bench piece or a sixth man coming in or a little scorer coming in off the bench. There could be some big moves, because then you also have to think about, okay, the Indiana Pacers, they're sixth in the East right now. They're better than anyone expected. The Sacramento Kings,
how about them?
They're overperforming what anyone expected or a lot of people expected. The Trailblazers started hot. They're down to 8th now. So there's so many teams that I think we're going to either have no moves whatsoever, or we're going to have the most exciting trade deadline. I think the most exciting trade deadline.
I think there's going to be some trades. I think there's going to be some major pieces. Yeah, I think there are going to be some. The Indiana Pacers, they are an interesting team, because I'm just using it as a name. If you put a star player, a star talent with the current group, you're going, they could be a problem. They could be a pretty good team.
Yes.
I think if you put a star player, who else? They're competitive. They've been losing, but who I think could be a good team if they make the right trade is the Miami Heat.
Yeah. But the question for them is, what's the right trade for them? Because
I think here's what I think. I think Tyler Hero right now is probably the guy that everyone would target.
Yeah, he's just signed an extension.
If they could get a player back in return, an athletic player back in return, what could they do in the second half of the season? I'm just looking at teams, because Tyler Hero didn't play for them last year in the playoffs. I'm not going to forget that.
Mm-hmm.
And they still took
he
the
played
Celtics.
Here and there.
Yeah, but in that Celtics series,
yeah,
he didn't. And they still went to 7 games.
Yeah, that was the turnover addicted Celtics. They're no longer that turnover ridden team anymore, though. So, so I don't think that this Miami Heat team is taking them to 7 in the playoffs.
I'm just saying, all I'm saying is this: it's still up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, your Celtics are leading the pack, no doubt about it.
Yep.
Your Celtics right now, they're leading the pack. However, there could be a trade, a player we're not talking about from the Western Conference that comes east. A player could come from the West and go to Cleveland, or could go to Indiana, or could go to any of these teams. And suddenly now you're looking out going, this is going to get real interesting.
Well, this leads me to the thing I'm most excited for this season. And that is the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Because one team out of Boston, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Cleveland, and Philly is not even going to make it to that second round. And then in that second round, any of those matchups, Boston versus Brooklyn, Milwaukee versus Cleveland, Boston versus Philly, Brooklyn versus Milwaukee, those are going to be the best matchups. Man, as long as everyone stays healthy and we get these matchups in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, I cannot wait. It's going to be, my excitement is just
it's going to be good. I think the playoffs are going to be really good. I'm really happy for the Sacramento Kings. I'm really happy for them, the way they are playing. Sabonis, and they're playing with a new sense of urgency and energy. I just think right now it's up for grabs. Well, it's up for grabs, but I'm going to keep my eye on the Miami Heat. I kind of like the Heat now.
Who would you like to see on? Who would you like to see on the Miami Heat, though? There are a few names.
I don't know who's going to. I don't know who they're going to target. But I will say this. Because I don't see a clear player right now that has. I don't see a clear player right now that, with the exception of Giannis, Giannis to me is okay, regular season playoffs, he to me he's the clear player, right above everyone else right now. And when I say clear, it's just because of his effect on both ends. When you take into, offense, defense, how you got to defend him. But when I look at Miami, I go, they have two exceptional players, right?
Jimmy Butler.
Bam and Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
They really do. I mean, they really do. And then I'm going, okay, if you had a third piece to that, let's just say, I'll just take, for example, if you said LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo.
I mean, the paint would be horrendously clogged. So you're looking at something similar to Anthony Davis.
Okay, you say it's clogged. Well, okay. Clogged how? Because you have two wing players and you can run your offense through your 5-man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what makes this interesting. I can run my offense through Bam.
The Lakers could do that with AD to offset LeBron and Russ's like spacing.
But again, I'm just saying your best ability is availability. Right now, those players aren't available.
One player is
I'm just saying another player to go with those two.
Oh, yeah.
If you could have that player along with Tyler Hero, like I'm just looking at.
Would you like Siakam and Jimmy Butler and Bam? How would you feel about that?
I like it. I like it. However, I need a player with that group that you can just throw the ball to. Like Jimmy, you can just throw the ball to.
Yeah.
You can just throw the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
I need another player that I can just throw the ball to, because I don't think Bam you can just throw the ball to him in the playoffs, because you're going to be playing against bigger athletes in the playoffs for a 7-game series. Bam is a tremendous athlete himself, but he's just not bigger than Joel Embiid. He's just not way more athletic than Rob Williams. He's not bigger than Brook Lopez and Giannis.
Mm.
You follow what I'm saying? Like he's just as athletic, but he's just not that more. He's not that much more athletic than those guys. But if you could just throw the ball to someone, like just throw the ball to them, where when the defense clogs, you can just throw it to them for a 2 to 5 minute stretch. I think they can be incredibly, because they're always around. Like they just need one player to go with this group. Like, I'm trying to think of a player. They just need a player. I think, a player like a Brandon Ingram, I think, for instance, because you could just throw the ball to him. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like you could just throw the ball for him for like 4 or 5 minutes and he can kind of do his thing and then come back to the group. Like you just need somebody like that with those two, and then you got something cooking. But I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know who's going to do what, but I do like the fact that I think they have, with Tyler Hero there, they have 3 pieces. Tyler Hero has been playing terrific all year, but I think they're going to have to give up something to get something. But that's just a team that I've been looking at.
And, the timeline of guys like Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler, they're a bit older than the timeline that Tyler Harris on. Bam is still obviously incredibly young, but we're going to have to see what they do. But do you know what needs to happen before the trade deadline? The one move we need to see happen, that everyone listening to this needs to make happen. We need everyone to make sure, if they haven't, that they're subscribed to the Hoop Genius podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and make sure they've left a 5-star review and a rating, all that good stuff. Because this podcast this year is going to go harder than ever. The NBA is going to be better than ever, and this podcast is going to be better than ever. And this is the best NBA podcast out there. So that's what we need from you guys. We're bringing you dropped 225 episodes last year for free. So we just need you guys to share the show with your friends, tell them to get involved and stay listening. And we're going to sit here and do our thing. And we got a lot more.
And we're gonna listen for the whole year, as I said at the top of the show. More
That's
than
right.
300 and what did I say? 325?
365, no days off for BJ.
365.
But yeah, we hope everyone listening, you guys had a great holiday period. Hope you're all ready to smash the new year. You know, new year, new goals, new opportunities, all that good stuff, but the same damn vibes. Pretty crazy. 1 year of doing the show. I'm excited. Let's keep it going. PJ, glad to have you back. I'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
Too, well.
I'll see you tomorrow
All
because
right.
tonight, we've recorded this early, but we got the number one in the East, the Boston Celtics, and the number one in the West, the Denver Nuggets, going head to head. So I'm sure we're going to have plenty to discuss when we sit down to record tomorrow. I'm going to see you there, my friend. And my friends who are listening to this right now, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, get buckets.